Will intermittent fasting cause my body to be in a never-ending state of hunger? Great question. So most people, when they hear about intermittent fasting, they think, I'm going to be hungry all the time. And it's a question I had too, like how can you go so long between meals and won't you feel hungry constantly? And I wanted to know, how long will this take for me to adapt to, or do you ever even adapt to it? The assumption is because we've always eaten, 3 meals a day or 6 meals a day or whatever it is, we've been eating that way for such a long time that it must take a really, really long time to get used to a new way of eating. But my experience has proved different, and I've also read a lot of other stories of people who do intermittent fasting and their experiences, and I've also talked to some people who have started to do intermittent fasting as well, and they've all kind of had similar experiences. So today I'm going to share those with you. So one thing this weight loss journey has taught me is that our bodies are capable of so much more than what we think they are capable of. We are highly adaptable. So back in 2014, I was running 3 miles every day, and I was just kind of vaguely worried that maybe that was too extreme, And so I read a book called Born to Run by Christopher McDougall, and that really shifted my paradigm on what our bodies are capable of adapting to. And the book is a really cool book. I highly recommend you read it. But the big 2 things that I learned were there's ultramarathoning, which is much more extreme than even marathoning, which most people think is pretty extreme in and of itself. So for example, he talks about the Badwater ultramarathon, which is 135 miles long and is right through Death Valley. So that's really extreme, and people do it and survive. And then even more incredible than that, he talks about the Tarahumara Indians who routinely run over 200 miles in just like 2 days. They're constantly running, basically. And so there are some amazing things that our bodies are capable of. So then when it came to intermittent fasting, I realized our bodies really are capable of more than we give them credit for. So I have found that for me personally, I adapt fairly quickly to a new eating pattern. So for example, if I were to go on vacation and just started eating, 3 meals a day, even though I'm used to eating 1 meal a day, it'll only take a day or 2 before I'm, getting hungry 3 times a day, wanting to eat. Conversely, I can switch right back within like a day or 2. If I've been eating 3 meals a day because I've been on vacation, when I get back from vacation, it's very easy to go back to fasting. Even small little things with my eating, I've noticed can become habit really quickly. For example, my husband and I started eating popcorn when I was in maintenance mode, and I realized that after just 1 day of doing that, I was craving popcorn. It was like I was hungry for popcorn the very next night. So it's very easy to get into an eating pattern, whether it's positive or negative. And, also I take 1 day off from intermittent fasting. Sundays are my day off. So on Monday, that's like the 1 day where I do feel hunger during the day, just on and off. It's not a constant state of hunger, but I will feel, hungry at those times that I ate the day before. And what I've realized is I'm really not feeling hunger. I'm just feeling the habit. And I've talked to other people who do this, and they kind of have the same experiences of once they, kind of change their pattern, then it's like the very next day they feel that same pattern emerging. So there are 2 options when you're deciding to intermittent fast. You could either go gradual or you could go drastic. And I would say that probably if you go really drastic, you should allow for about a week or 2 for your body to really adapt. And it's probably going to be pretty, trying, probably more mentally rather than physically. You might have nausea and things like that. However, I didn't go from eating, 3 to 6 meals a day down to eating 1 like I do now. It was a very, very gradual change for me because that's how I felt comfortable doing it. I just kind of pushed my window out further and further, like hour by hour, until I was eventually doing, 1 meal a day. I did a whole video about, how to make intermittent fasting easier, so you can check that out if you're needing some guidance on that. It really depends on your personality, whether you want to be drastic with this or whether you want to go gradual. I would suggest just whatever you think will work for you. Some people like making drastic changes, and then other people just prefer to kind of make micro changes, which is what I have found for me is the most effective way to make a change. So to wrap up, remember, your body is amazing and highly adaptable. Realize that a lot of times what you're feeling is just the habit, not actual hunger. And remember, if you're having trouble and it just feels way too hard, Instead, take a step back and try the gradual method. Just try going from, maybe like an 8-hour fast up to, maybe a 9-hour fast, and then 10. And when you get used to that, bump it up to 11 until you are starting to notice some good results. So I'm curious, do you practice intermittent fasting? And if you do, how long did it take you to adapt? Okay, thanks for watching. Be sure to like, comment, and subscribe, and be sure to check out my video, 5 ways to make intermittent fasting easier, if you're needing a little help.